Alright, so I got a visual here for you guys to kind of lock onto. This is Rage, the bear man from another planet here. And then this is Butch, bull man from another planet. Alright, he's a mercenary. You know, he does what he gets paid for. This is like from my Minotaur stash for my D&D monsters. So he's not a custom Butch, he's kind of like a stand-in Butch, but pretty close. So yeah, they're going to be getting in a fist fight scenario, okay? And I'm going to try to go through the different ranges of, you know, hitting it against the general area, the non-vitals, and the vitals. Okay, so let's put in the stats. I'm going to plug in the stats real quick. As you can see, this scrap papers, all those printer papers you got to put in to make sure your ink is all aligned right. So might as well use it for something like this. So first of all, you got Rage here. So this is all hypothetical, okay? So say this is like my customized superhero universe, right? Rage's universe. And his fitness doesn't necessarily come into play right now. It's his reflexes. So I'm going to focus on his reflex stat. So reflexes. Let's see if I can take it from the actual card that I made. Let's see here. Yeah. This is it right here. So you can see Rage there. His fitness is 35, but his reflexes are 28. Okay, so 28. Okay. So 28. But when that's for the general attribute. So I opened the book, the universe book. It says make a base adjustment, okay, to all your scores of 30. All right, so it makes your characters a little bit more super. Okay, so let's make that. It actually comes out to 58. Okay, so it's pretty fast. That's pretty fast. Okay, I could add maybe this universe campaign book might offer you special powers that you can use as a modifier once in a while. But you say you only get so many of those. Say you can use those one time a conflict. So I would check off one. And I can use it one time. So I could roll D6 for that many rounds. I would get a +10 bonus to his reflexes because he'd be using like his rage power to beef himself up and make himself that much faster. I could do something like that. But let's not get too... I'm just doing hypothetical. Let's keep it basic. Let's say he's not using his rage power. He's just using his normal strength and reflexes. His dexterity is 58, which is still pretty darn amazing. So he's going up against Butch. Okay? Butch. Cigar chomping Butch. And his reflexes. He's pretty closely matched to Rage to give him a run for his money. So I'll make it a little bit more challenging. I'll make him 30. Okay? So it makes Rage just a little bit of the underdog. Plus 30. I'm going to put base adjustment mod. Okay, universe. So that's important to add. Sorry, it's kind of let me do it better here. Universe. Base adjustment All you D&D fans will recognize, especially you second edition fans and first edition fans, will remember base adjustment. Mod. Okay, so that's what that 30 is. So he's at 60. Okay, so he's got the higher he's got the higher chance of going first because he's got the higher reflex number. So I'm going to start off with a gimme. The GM or the mythic GM. I ask it a question. I say, hey, does Butch get advantage when he's jumping out of a helicopter, falling down onto Rage? Now it could be argued that maybe Rage would see him coming, but maybe somehow Rage wasn't expecting that, and he's kind of jolted back because he wasn't expected to somebody to jump out of this helicopter as it's crashing. And so I rolled on the mythic, the Oracle. He says, yes. So Butch gets advantage. So that's done. I could roll initiative, and do it that way, but I'm going to do the first one as a gimme. So Butch gets the advantage. So he goes first. Let's roll for Butch. Okay. 2d10. He's got to get under 60. Oh, also before I do that, there's a lethality rating. So let's do lethality. Let's write that. And let's say when it comes to fists and kicks, let's make it 3. So it's kind of hard to get lethal when you're doing fists and kicks. Okay, again, I'm just riffing. Okay, so let's do it. So he jumps out at Rage, and cigar firmly still in his mouth, defying physics. And he goes, and he doesn't say a word. He's going to let his flying fist, talk for him. The red is the first one, and the green is the ones place. Okay, 38. So, actually, I should have said he's aiming for the general area of Rage. Okay. So, 38. 38. He gets way under his reflexes. So he scores a hit on Rage. I'm going to say, let's see here. Let me grab this other. I get to use my Rage dice, my custom Rage dice for this. Awesome. I'm going to say fists do 1d6 damage. I can always add a modifier in the universe book. Say, okay, all hand-to-hand combat is 1d6 plus a percentage, depending on the character or something like that. Getting some good ideas here. So he does 5 damage to Rage. Now, on that 38, the one place is higher than the lethality rating. Thus, Rage's body is not harmed, but his fatigue points. He's fatigued. So he has 2 categories. He's got fatigue point, and he's got body points. If this had been a 3 or a 2 or a 1, Butch would have done some damage to Rage. Maybe he would have busted his nose real good. But since we could say, well, he's jumping out of this helicopter, he's throwing punches at any part of Rage, his back, his stomach, whatever he'll hit. But it doesn't really have a good momentum because he's in the air. He's just kind of swinging for the fences, if you will. So there we go with that. So Rage gets to go next. Okay, so Rage goes, he turns around, and he's going to go, let me see here, what I got here. He is going to aim for Butch's throat. He's going to go for, oh no, not, maybe that's too vital. Let's do a non-vital. So he's going to try to knock him out doing a big haymaker. He's going to kind of give him a warning shot, try to knock him out before he gets lethal. So he's being kind of nice. So here you go. Here he goes. He's got to get under a 58. 22! And he does. So, now, let's go over non-vital. So, actually, I misspoke. He's got to get under half. So, half of 58. Alright? That is not 24, but let's see, 25, 26, 27, 27. Yeah? Well, my math is off. Hold on. So I'll do 58 divided by 2. 29. So he's got to get under 29. Okay. I think he did it. So yeah, he knocks. He just takes a big swipe. Now, is the 22? Is the 2 in the 1's place? Under the lethality rating? Yes, it is. Sure is. So he does heavy damage, alright, to the body. So how much damage does he do? 6. I love that. I rolled the rage face. He rolls 6 damage. So, and it's body damage going directly to Butch's body hit points. I don't have that written down here. But remember, 2 categories. Fatigue points and body points. So his body points are deducted by 6. Alright, but he's got some body points left. That jarred him real good. Butch is still on his feet. So, who goes next? Well, let's do a initiative. So we do the initiative. Okay. So, Butch has a higher reflexes. So 10% of 60 is 6. That makes it real easy. So he rolls 5 plus 6, which is 11. And then Rage goes 5 plus, I'm sorry, 10% of 58 is 5. I believe that is rounded down. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Oh, well. If it isn't, I'll change it later. So, round it. Yeah, there it is right here. That's why I do a 2-sheet wonder. 10% rounded down. So, it's 5. Can he beat the 11? No, he can't. Because 5 plus 3, 6, 7, 8 does not beat an 11. Butch gets to go again. So, Butch smiles. Okay? And he rubs his jaw. And you know what? He is going to go for a vital area. Now, vital area is 10% of 60. Okay? So, if he hits, he does, it's gonna go up, it's gonna double his chance. I think, is it double or is it? Hold on, let me double check here. Or triple. Let's see here. body damage is increased to 3. So I forgot to write in chances. See, body damage reduced by 2. So really, I kind of I might have made a mistake there in the last one. When Rage hit Butch, his body damage, so this was reduced by 2, and he rolled, so 3, 2, 1, so I would have had to get a 1 to do body damage to Butch. So really, Rage, in that last fight, Rage did fatigue points, not body points. So sorry, I kind of screwed up there. So I'm still trying to get more practice doing this. So, but here, it's going to be, let's see, his lethality rating is let's see, by 3. So it'd go up to 6. Okay. So if he succeeds, let's see if he succeeds. He's going to aim at Rage's throat. He's going to try to bash this Adam's apple in. Let's see if he succeeds. And he's got to get under a 6. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? 29. He does not. Okay. So he misses. Rage gets out of the way, sees it coming, and he moves on to his next punch. He's going to try to... he sees the opening, and he's going to punch Butch in the stomach. Or kick him in the stomach. He's not quite sure. But he'll make up his mind soon enough. In this combat edition of Rage versus Butch. From the Rageverse. Maybe, eventually. Yeah? Tell me what you guys think. So again, sorry about that. I kind of screwed up the lethality rating. So when Rage was fighting and he threw that haymaker at Butch, his chances of lethality went down by 2. So 3, 2, went down to 1. I would have had to roll a 1 to make it body damage. But instead, that 6 that he rolled, okay, that 6 would have gone to the fatigue points, not the body points. So yeah, you got to practice a little bit with it, but it's simple enough. It's not too complex. It's not too complex. Once you get the formula down, that's kind of fun. And so there you go. I played it all out for you. There's other things on here. Like you can use your experience points to push your roll. So just keep that in mind. To add points to your chance to hit. Things like that. Let's go over it a little bit here. Let's see. Giving us 2 numbers, die range. Target area. Again, you want to specify that before you attack which part of the body you're going to be aiming at. Is it general? Is it non-vital? Or is it vital? And then after that, you can kind of narrate what part of the body. Again, magic, psionics, and superpowers, all possible in different universes. Same damage and lethality. And lethality rules apply. No, don't forget the enemy's lethality number. This can be improvised by similar weapon equivalent. Okay, so let's see what else. Oh yeah. Extras and reminders. Remember that there's fatigue damage points and body damage points. Fatigue damage is damage to the body that's non-lethal. Lethal damage applies to the body. Yep. Life and death. Any experience points a character's had is transferred to the new one from the same power core. So if the character bites it, Rage bites it, which would take a lot, but in a game like this, probably not as much as you'd expect, but enough. Let's see. So any XP that the character had is transferred to the new one from the same power core. So this is the power core, the player core. I meant player core. Power core, player core, same thing. So again, using these dice to make the new character, probably should make an experience slot here, carried over from a previous adventure, and those points would go towards the new character into their experience points, which they could use to, I believe, help them with a roll in some way. It kind of reminds me, if you ever played the Ghostbusters RPG by West End Games, they're kind of like the brownie points, where you can kind of use them to exchange certain things. But I think you can also use experience points to increase your attributes, I think, a little bit. So I think you can do that as well. Again, 2 characters can't be active from the same universe. And here's conversions. This kilos, kilometers, and meters. That's for Fairy, Queen, and Country mostly. Speed. Walking 15 meters per turn. Again, there's the adjustments. That's a little over 3 feet. Okay, 3 feet times 15. That's how many you can walk within a turn. Running, a character can run for minutes equal to his fitness rating. Characters with a score of 14 or less run and walk at the same speed. A character with 32 fitness can run at 32 meters in a single turn. So what's rage? All right, his original 35. That would be, let's see, he can run for 35 minutes. But in his rage verse, he can run, let me get that out. This would be his rage verse stats. It's 58 minutes without getting fatigued. Then he starts losing fatigue points. I could do a rule where I could customize a rule where if I check off one of his rage abilities, that would add maybe a plus 10 to 68, or a plus 20 or something like that to make him super powered with his running, because he's using his anger power, right? So that I could do something like that. So let's see, resting time spent is equal to the time spent sprinting. Sprinting speed, a character can sprint in meters equal to twice his fitness, kept up for turns equal to 1/10 of your character's fitness, rounded down. There's that rounded down again. All right, fractions, which you convert to decimals and yada yada. Carrying capacity, carrying up to twice the amount of the fitness score. Kilos makes sprinting and running halved. Reduce half of the fitness score. Up to 3 times no sprinting or running allowed, and must rest after walking meters. Fitness equals fitness score. Okay. See page 24 for pushing the limits. Let's go over push the limits real quick. There's a little bonus here. It's page 24. Push it to the limit. Do, 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 do. Pushing the limits. Alright. It is possible for characters run and sprint, for characters to run and sprint faster or farther than their normal allowances by taxing their fitness score and making ability checks. Any character can sprint faster in a given turn than normally allowed by taxing his ability, spending experience points to increase fitness. However, a character can never increase his speed. I should have gone over this a little bit more. By more than 50% this way. Thus, he cannot add more than half of his fitness score. This increase is effective for only a single turn, so better be important. Thus, the character must continue to pay experience points to maintain the pace the next turn. Any character can also try to exceed her duration at the start of each turn when sprinting, or minute when running. That your character attempts to run in excess of her normal duration. A check must be made against willpower by rolling percentile dice. If under the character's willpower score, almost said will player, yeah, she keeps going for that turn or minute. Otherwise, she must stop since she is exhausted. Characters who fail the check suffer 1 to 2 points of fatigue damage. Note that experience can be spent to increase your character's willpower. So there you go. That's a pretty good gist without going through the whole book. I mean, combat is a big part of it. Experience points. Here it is. Improving your player core. For long-term planning, you can look beyond your immediate character. Let's see. Each die of improvement to an attribute pool costs 100 experience points. So you get a whole die of improvement though, but that's 100 experience points. So you might want to save up your experience points to increase your attribute by adding a die per 100. Since improvements to the player core have no effect on your current character, the purchase can be made at any time. Although theoretically there is no limit to the number of dice you can buy for a single attribute pool, Amazing Engine universes may have attribute or ability score limits on characters in that universe. It is best to check with your GM before over-investing in an attribute pool for your character. So cool. So cool. You got your transfer to new characters. A unique feature of the Amazing Engine system is opportunity to role-play in a variety of different universes. In other role-playing games, this would mean giving up any experience your character had earned. In essence, all the time you had spent playing would be for naught when you started in a new game world. This is not the case in the Amazing Engine system. Each time you create a new character, you can transfer experience from the player core to that character. With the following limitations. Both old and new characters must come from the same player core. The two characters cannot be active in the same universe. A new character can appear in the same universe if the previous character is dead or permanently retired. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's the gist. That's a pretty good gist of the system. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run an adventure. This will be the second adventure. Not with Rage and Butch, although that I liked how that was a lot of fun. That was role-playing one of the scenes in my comic book, my first comic book, where Rage kind of comes at, or Butch comes at Rage after this helicopter explodes, and he jumps out and comes at him. But anyway, I'm going to do a second adventure based in Fairy, Queen, and Country. And it doesn't focus on combat. It's not a combat-oriented system. It's it's more of a supernatural. It could be either drama, or it can be a comedy, or it could be a bit of both, and that's basically it. Or you can have kind of a mystery exploration kind of game with it. So those three, I think, it lends itself to. But combat, it's not so much. It's kind of like Vaesen, if you're familiar with that, where it deals with the supernatural and fairy creatures and all that. But they don't emphasize combat because, trust me, the fairies are going to win, because you're just not, the fairies and the fairy folk and all their creatures and iterations are very powerful. So you have to use reasoning and resources. You got to use your charms There's a lot of class system in it and schmoozing and that kind of stuff, but I'm going to tailor the adventure based off the first adventure I did with Stanley. Again, he's a groundskeeper, and he was in World War I, and he's kind of like in this after post-war time of his life, and he just had an interaction with his rich employer, and it's kind of like what happened after that. And I'll explain it in the next, give you some backstory to go from that. And I'll just do a one-page adventure with 8 scenes, and I'll have pre-planned little triggers throughout that go off to kind of steer the adventure where I kind of want it to go a little bit while still having some unpredictability. And maybe I'll put in some points where he has to roll under his charm or his willpower or his let's see here, his learning or his intuition. He's got to roll under those or something to pass that scene, or so that way you can get a grip of how the game is played a little bit more. And he gets a base adjustment, Stanley, of 20 per attribute. So each of these would be plus 20. So there you go. I hope you like this exploration of the system, the rules. Again, it's not every single rule, but it's a pretty good gist of it. And I mean, it's not that thick of a book. It's a very thin book. So I kind of like that. It's rules light, but you have to go through it and you have to work at it to really understand how the game's played. And it's not laid out that great. It looks like it's laid out really simply, but again, they're getting ahead of themselves. Like all this right here is talking about these right here, so they needed a 1 page or 2 pages like what I wrote with the illustrations right next to each other. But I like the simplicity of the boxed text, and they did throw some illustrations in, which were nice, to get your imagination going. And I do love the concept of going from universe to universe, and I love the idea of creating my own universe. And I don't think I would have to put really that much. I could just bullet point a few things. Really, I could put the whole universe on probably a good, either, maybe, I don't know if I can do it on a 3x5, but probably 4x6 card. And just kind of play that universe, add a base adjustment, and go from there. I've never played GURPS, so I guess this is kind of like my version of playing GURPS. I'd like to, one of these days, just to see what the differences and similarities are. I know Mythic could do something like this, but Mythic's system, I like the chart, the cross-reference matrix chart is really cool. But it takes a few times to really understand that. You can check out my Mythic videos where I do a little rage adventure, and I kind of struggled with it a little bit, but I made it work. Again, I struggle a little bit with this too, but once you get the combat down and the character creation down, I actually think the character creation is much harder than to get down and understand than the combat. Then you got it. Then it clicks, and it's pretty neat. So thanks for watching. Remember, keep on solo questing. Give some old systems that you love or you've always wanted to play some love. And I'll see you in the next video of the one-shot adventure for Faerie, Queen and Country. Thanks for watching.